is on how to deal with conflict in a godly way. And in the midst of this, each time there's going to be a test that comes up at every question. And there's an A, a B, or a C answer. Let me tell you first off what happened and how this object lesson came about. On January 19th, after visiting with my nephew and my niece and having a good time watching a movie, kind of sitting out, chilling, doing something that Chris Davis has never really done, hanging out with family. You'll understand why as you keep watching Power of God Ministries and media. You'll kind of understand why I didn't hang out with family, because there's a why behind the what. But long story short, as I leave their place, headed to Walmart, I'm like, wow, having a jacked up childhood actually was a benefit. Book. The book is called Making Peace with Your Past. There's a class going on in Columbia, South Carolina. Check it out, all right? Trust me, if you've had a turbulent past, jacked up childhood, something you need. Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt to prove it. Okay, it's a certificate. All right. So as I'm leaving that house, I get to Walmart, and as I walk in, I see my auntie. And I'm like, hey, auntie, how you doing? And then all of a sudden, I see my cousin. My asshole. Wow. Big issue. Yeah, really big issue. This is the person that molested me or raped me when I was 8 years old. Yeah. For those who knew me back then, back at Lower Richland High School, Hopkins Middle, who used to see me fight all the time at Hard Hill and at Kaufman Road, yeah, that's why. All that pain bottled up inside. The person who was hurting just started lashing out, hurting other people. But I finally found out why. And so now that I've had all the memories come back and I remembered this stuff, and now I've gone through classes, I've been treated, and guess what? I was at that stage of healing. About a year and a half prior, went by his house, put a letter on the door saying, hey, look, I forgive you, but now comes the moment of truth. He's in your presence. What do you do? A, B, or C? If you guess it, the right answer is C. That's right. Operate like Christ. Say, look, I want you to know I remember what happened, yet I forgive you, and I let it go. So I walked off, all was well, because he kind of looked like, okay. But then as I get to the vegetable aisle, he walks up on me, got his hand behind his back like this, in his shirt like he's got a weapon or something. Like, look, dude, we need to talk, and raising all up a fuss in the store. And I'm like, what's up, boss? I forgive you, man. I let it go. And it's like all up in my face. And I'm like, look, man, just chill, leave me alone. What do you do at a moment like that? A, B, or C? I can tell you the correct answer is not A, it is not B, and it is C. That's right. Be like Christ. Act like Christ at that moment. Because see, what matters is what's in your heart. And even though this man had come up upon me, he had violated me, had caused me much pain for 32 years, I got now the opportunity to live a life as a Christian. Because I said I forgive you, now I got to walk it out. So I walked off. He comes up on me a second time, still with his hand like he's got a weapon or something. At this point, I'm like, dude, what you got in your hand? Now, I ain't going to tell you no lie. I was kind of braced, and for those who didn't know, so I was ready to deal with whatever I had to deal with. But my thing at this moment was praying, God, don't let me have to hurt this man, because I don't want to. And so when I asked him what he had in his hand, he did this, and he had nothing in his hand. And he's still, aggressive. But at this point, God allowed me to see momentarily in the spirit. And I saw his face had changed. Then I was like, well, what are you upset about? All I said was, I forgive you. But when I saw the spirit, I understood this was Satan upset because I forgave this man. Now y'all know that's the devil. And I hate to borrow that phrase, but that's the devil. All I said was, I forgive you. I'm not trying to press charges against you. I'm not holding it against you. You were the one who violated me, yet I forgive you. But then here's the thing he said. He said to me, basically we agreed to this. At that point, I'm looking at him like, and y'all, I'm telling y'all, in my flesh, I'm about ready to kill this joke. That's what I'm about ready to handle my business, you know what I'm saying? About ready to get A, all the way live in the flesh. Because B, being fearful, was definitely not an option at this moment. But all of a sudden, I remember the right answer is C, being a Christian or Christ-like. When he said that, I said, what do you mean? I don't see where there was any kind of agreement. Unless you forget you pointed a rifle in my face and told me to put my mouth on your private parts. That didn't seem like we agreed. That seemed like rape. And so I said, look, I told you, I forgive you. And I walked off. Now comes time number 3. Here's the test. He walks up on me, voice elevated, gets almost up in my face, literally like this. It was, now, dude, let me tell you, I'm not asking you anymore. I'm telling you, because now comes a point, my flesh is really starting to rise up. And A, yeah, that's the option I'm ready to go with. Ready to get straight all the way live in the flesh, y'all. You think I would want to shoot this man? Nah, I want to beat this joker to death. Because in my flesh, I'm remembering now all the hurt and all the pain that I've gone through. I'm remembering the times of fighting people. I'm remembering almost shooting and taking the life of my own son because I could not deal internally with the pain that you've caused me. And so now I'm remembering the effect of what you did. And I'm really wanting to get A all the way live in my flesh. Being fearful, that ain't even an option no more. I'm ready to hurt you. But then the C option kicks in again. Be a Christian. Not only talk about it, but now you got to live it. So as I told him, all I said was, I forgive you. We don't need to talk about this anymore. You really don't want to know where this conversation could go. Because I'm being honest, y'all, with myself. My flesh is ready to not only hurt, but to take this man's life because of the life I felt he took from me when I was a child. But I still got to live out what I said. I forgive you. Yeah, it was a test. Y'all, the hardest test I've ever dealt with in my entire life. Because here's a man that raped me. Here's a person who literally took an innocent child, violated it. I thank God stopped it, so it didn't go any further, but he did try to take it there. That's right, he tried to insert his body part in mine. But God gave me enough wisdom to fight back by tightening up, if you understand what I'm saying. So I thank God I didn't come out and become a homosexual after that. Because thank God it never went all the way there, but he tried. And so in my mind, all of the things that's happened after that, the $1 million inheritance that I did not get from my grandfather, because after that I started acting like I had lost my mind, because the truth was I did. But now I'm in a situation where I've had to lose my mind, and now I have the mind of Christ. And having the mind of Christ, said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Option C. And so as I told him, I understand that when you were a child, you were violated. So I forgive you. Yet we don't have anything else to talk about right now. You don't really want to know where this conversation is going to go. So I'm no longer asking you, but I'm telling you, leave me alone. Let me be. And I walked off. Because you have to take authority when the enemy, because this wasn't him, because when I said I forgive you at first, that was him who stood there. But when the enemy attacked, Now this man wants to push up a fight. It ain't about him. It's about me living my life as a Christian. About every person I've ever ministered to seeing me on the news going to jail telling me Chris Davis killed a man in Walmart. Really? How do you think that's going to look? Versus the ministry to the man who damaged me, the man who injured me. Because now he's going to have to live with the fact, yes, I forgive you. And you know, that's what needs to happen. When we're tested, when people have violated us, when people have offended us, now it's time to go with option C. Be a real Christian. And let me tell you something, yo, it is not easy. That was the single hardest test I've had in my life. I've gone through a lot of things, y'all. But to have the person who pointed a .22 rifle in my face when I was an 8-year-old child, to have all those memories that happened, to have the man who tried to put his body part inside of my anus, yo, that would have hurt. This grown man trying to go, nah, dog. I'm remembering that. I'm remembering how you held me trying to do this to me. And you got the nerve to say, I consented? My flesh is, And my friends say, boy, the hawk is about to come out. And hawk ready to smash. But Christ said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Because just 4 or 5 months prior, God was dealing with me, saying to love those the way he loved me. To love my wife the way he loved me. And I failed at that. So now, here's my test. Can you love the person who violated you the way Christ loved you? About loving those who despitefully use you and all of these things. And I'm like, when I got saved, I'm like, Lord, I don't know if I can do that. I can do everything else, but that, I don't know about that. But now comes a time to see if what I talk about, what I preach about, what I tell others about, can I live it? So many times we get tested and we get ate all the way live in our flesh. Whether it's with a sexual relationship outside of marriage, whether it's with drugs, whether it's anything, homosexuality, lesbianism, fits of anger, all these things we get tested. Yet, most of the time, we go to A, all the way live in the flesh. Or we go B and get fearful and run. But in this situation, neither one of those is an option. Because if I go A, every person I've ever ministered to, whatever he said, he talked about something he ain't living the doggone self. But yet now, you got to live C, Christ-like. Forgive that person. For those who've been abused, whether it be sexually, emotionally, or physically. Go back. Take the time. Seek God's face. Ask God to heal you. You're going to have to talk about, write about, or something to get that thing out. There's a class in Columbia, South Carolina called RAMS. There's another one that's being held all over the nation called Making Peace with Your Past. You need to find out where that class is being held so you can make peace with what happened to you. You may find, as I did, that because of what happened to me, it gave me what I call my mutant powers. But yet, people knew I was different, but they didn't know why. Neither did I. But I thank God now for what happened, because I see how God took that situation and turned it around for my good. And in the midst of that night, I really saw the power of Christ. And God got the glory out of that. Because if I went A, all the way live in the flesh and beat him down, give him a little 2-piece, and I ain't talking about no chicken, y'all. Yeah, I would have then said, I got this joker back for what he did to me. But instead, when I walked off reminding myself of who I was in Christ, you know what? that was really a victory. Because now the enemy don't have that same power over me. And I also let this man know who hurt me of what God's love truly is. Forgiveness and love. So I say to you, the next time you're tested, whether it be with a sexual relationship outside of marriage and you want to get all the way live in your flesh, don't do it. Or if it's a situation where you're afraid, you want to be afraid, you want to be fearful, don't do it. You got to do what Christ did. Option C. That's the only option we have as Christians.
Free from what held me, free from what fought me mentally. You've captured me in my mind.